Hey guys, Doug Bernier, ProBaseballInsider.com. In this video, I want to give you the 6 traits of elite outfielders. These are the skills that we are chasing when it comes to our outfield play. Now, just because we're in the outfield and we're further away from the hitter, doesn't mean we're any less important than anyone else in the infield. Being in the outfield and playing a quality outfield gives you the ability to separate yourself from others and also just make some game-changing plays. These are the 6 traits of elite outfielders. Number 1, when we are running after fly balls. We've all experienced this. Anyone that has played baseball for an extended amount of time, when you're going after a fly ball and you have to go a long way, there is a tendency for the ball to be bouncing in the air as we're going after it. The reason is that we are running on our heels. Most of us are heel runners, so we're running after the baseball, but when our heels hit the ground, our head jolts up and down, our eyes are moving, and it's causing the ball to move. So think of it as we are closing on the ball, as we're maybe 2 to 3 steps away from catching the ball. That's when we switch from our whole foot heel running to getting onto our toes. That's going to keep our head from bouncing, it's going to keep our eyes from bouncing, and it's going to make the ball seem still in the air, and it's going to be a much easier ball to catch. So think of it like this. When I had a trainer and we were working on jump squats, he would have us jump and land on our toes and hit the ground like we were trying to make as little of a sound as possible. The same thing is happening when we are running. We want to be on our toes and try to be as soft as we can when we're getting ready or preparing to make the catch. Number 2 is get behind the baseball whenever you can. So on balls in the air, you'll see a lot of outfielders that get really lazy. They go after the ball and they just stand there and then they catch it and they end up catching it back over their head. What we want to get into a good habit of is always working behind the baseball. It doesn't matter if no one's on base or if there are runners on base, but what we're doing is we're setting up the throw. We're going to create momentum working through the ball, and we're going to do it all the time. So if that's our mentality, then we're going to do it in critical situations, and we're going to know how to do it correctly, and we're also going to do it with no one on, because that's just who we are. That's our DNA. What that is going to require is a little bit of effort. So we're not just going to be able to just coast after the ball and just sit here and catch it back over here and look cool doing it. No, what we're going to do is we're going to see the ball hit, we're going to race back, we're going to beat the ball to the spot, we're going to get there, and we're going to keep the ball, feel like you're catching it, keeping it in front of your chin. So we're going to hear, and then we're going to work through it, catch it that way, and set up our throw. So remember, tip number 2 is make sure we are working behind the baseball, creating some momentum to work through that ball on every single catch. Number 3, get comfortable going back on baseballs. So introduce some drills, working on drop steps, working on in batting practice, taking live reads, and you can even stand closer to the infield to practice working on going back on balls. This is a big separator. If you are as good going back as you are going forward, you're not only going to create a lot of range, but your comfort level is going to increase so much just because you can go back. A side note, once you get comfortable going back, start to get comfortable introducing yourself to the warning track, plays up against the wall. But again, as we go back, know where you are in relation to into the wall, use that warning track, and get comfortable making plays around the wall. All right, number 4 is ground ball work. Now let's be real here. One of the big reasons why people are in the outfield is because maybe you struggle with ground balls. So it's really important to get comfortable fielding ground balls and setting up to be able to make throws. Now in this video, we're not going to talk exactly how we want to do it. I'm not a big believer in always or nevers. I think there's a lot of variation in what you feel comfortable with, athleticism, etc. But just being comfortable with balls on the ground. So doing a lot of drills, doing a lot of fungo work, a lot of infield type drills as well. So work on balls that are coming right at me in my lane. Balls that are outside my lane to the glove side, where I have to work on the glove side spin. Very important. The other one is working on backhands. catch it and be able to throw. Anything on the ground, we need to be comfortable with. High velocity balls, low velocity balls. And one thing that gets neglected in the outfield is the ability and the pursuit of trying to catch the hop that we want. We talk about it all the time in the infield, but in the outfield, sometimes we neglect that. But it's the same rules apply in the outfield. When the ball is coming towards us and we have to make a catch and a throw, it's usually a really important play of the game if we have to fire off a throw to home plate. We still have to be able to throttle, be under control, and catch the hop we want so the ball lands in our glove securely and doesn't rattle around, so we can make the proper transfer and throw. Ground ball work is important. So all I'm saying here in this tip, make sure you work on these skills. Don't always just catch fly balls, work on the ground ball work. All right, the fifth trait for elite outfielders is throwing and understanding not only where you need to throw it, but how you're able to increase your arm strength. If you want to learn some ideas in how to increase your arm strength, I will link to a video below. Take a look at that. It's a good video if you do want to increase arm strength. But there's a lot more than just being able to throw the ball hard here in the outfield. It's being able to understand how and execute a long hop. This is a huge issue industry-wide when we're trying to make throws to bases. We constantly throw the ball too close to the infielder that's receiving the throw. It's a short hop and it eats him up, or the ball gets by him. We need to work on being able to make long hop type throws that are easy to handle for our infielders. That's something you can do and accomplish in your catch play. Take your hat off. At the end of once you stretch it out and you're playing long toss, put my hat on the ground, take about 8 steps back, and have your partner try to hit your hat. It's a good visual and it's a good drill in trying to work on your long hop accuracy. Next in throwing is knowing when to throw to bases and when not to. There's a rule called the 90-90 rule. If you're not 90% sure you're gonna throw out that lead runner, keep the backside runner from advancing 90 feet. So we're not just launching a throw, we're not just always throwing the ball to home or third base just because we got that adrenaline rush. No, it's important not to give up a backside 90 and keep the double play in order. So understanding that in the outfield is really important as well. Next is knowing where to miss. So when I get a ground ball and I'm making a throw to a cutoff man. So let's say I'm playing left field, I come up and the third baseman is the cutoff and I'm making a throw, I want to miss low, not high. Because I want to keep that runner from coming around first base and just going to second. It also allows my third baseman to catch the ball, cut it, and redirect it if he needs to. If a play is happening in the infield, I'm giving him a throw that he can redirect the ball when needed. Now when you're throwing the ball to a relay, okay, so the ball's out in left center field, and I pick the baseball up, and I look and I have the shortstop and second baseman as a double cut and I'm going home, I want to miss high here if I'm going to miss, because I have some help behind the first cutoff man. All right, so if I short hop the first guy, it's gonna slow down the whole play. So when we are throwing to a cutoff man, we wanna miss low. If we're throwing to a relay situation and we're gonna miss high. It's going to hopefully keep the pace of that play at a higher speed than if we bounce that ball. And then finally, the last trait, and this might be the most important, is your ready position and the anticipation of contact being made. How quickly can we move after bat to ball contact? It's really important in the infield, but it's equally as important in the outfield. Now, when you're looking at range in the outfield, speed matters. It really, really helps. But it's not the #1 factor in regards to overall range. It's how quickly can we get moving after contact. So to do a quick, simple breakdown of outfield range metrics, there is a metric called jump. And jump is the 3-second window after the pitcher has released the ball to home plate. What do you do? What do you accomplish in that 3 seconds? That 3-second jump window is broken up into 2. The first 1.5 seconds is our reaction. The second and a half is our burst. How quickly are we able to react and move in the direction of the baseball? That's something that they can measure at the major league level that they're not going to be able to measure at the youth level. But it's important, if I think about that first 1.5 seconds after the ball is released, how quickly can I move? Then burst. Once I get moving in the direction of the ball, how quickly can I get to top speed in that next 1.5 second window? So that's really what our focus is the first 3 seconds after the pitcher's release in regards to reaction. Those two things are more important than route efficiency. They're more important than speed. There are some guys that are average runners in regards to sprint speed that have elite range. Look at Kiké Hernández in center field. He is a great example of a guy that gets tremendous jumps, that has tremendous range, that's an average runner. So just because you're fast doesn't mean you're a good outfielder. Just because you're average runner or even maybe a tick below doesn't mean you're not going to be able to have elite range. It's about reaction time. It's about how quickly can I get to my top speed. And a lot of that revolves around my ready position and first step. So an effective ready position is basically just creating a little movement or momentum as the ball enters the hitting zone. I want to be on my toes or slightly off the ground when the ball is in the hitting zone. So I'm in the air or I'm on my toes and then the ball's hit. Now I'm starting to come down and then I can move as quickly as I can. The issue with most outfielders is we get to this ready position and then we stop and then the ball's hit and we have to move a little bit, create a little bit of momentum before we get running again. So if we can just start the movement into our ready position a little bit later, that's going to solve so many issues in regards on how quick we can react off the ball. So those are 6 traits of elite outfielders, skills that we are chasing in our outfield play. One of the biggest things you can do outside of drills that's really going to help you focus on all of these is take live reads during batting practice. That's one of the best things you can do as an outfielder. So work on these traits and see your outfield skills improve dramatically.